Dr. Hyun-woo Kim stared at the broken machine in front of him. Sparks flew from the twisted metal and wires. Smoke filled the small laboratory. This was the 15th failure this month. Earth was running out of time, and they were running out of hope. "Shut it down," Hyun-woo said quietly. His team moved quickly to turn off the power. The machine stopped sparking and went silent. So-young Park pulled off her safety goggles and shook her head. Her dark hair was messy from hours of work. "The alien technology just won't work with our power systems," she said. "Every time we try to copy their designs, something breaks." Min-ho Lee kicked a piece of broken metal across the floor. 40 years, he said angrily. 40 years since the aliens found us, and they still won't share their secrets. They keep us trapped here like animals in a cage. Hyun-woo looked out the window at the gray sky of Earth. The planet was dying slowly. Too many people. Not enough. Food, not enough clean water. The aliens had shown them videos of green worlds among the stars, beautiful planets with endless space and resources, but humans were not allowed to go there. The Galactic Council called humans a young species. They said humans were not ready for space travel between stars. They said humans needed to prove they were peaceful and wise. But how could humans prove anything when they were stuck on one dying world? "There has to be another way," Hyun-woo said. "We can't keep trying to copy their machines. We need to think differently." So-young sat down heavily in her chair. "Different how? We've tried everything. Chemical rockets, nuclear engines, even that crazy idea with magnetic fields. Nothing can go faster than light except their technology." "Maybe. We're thinking about this wrong," said a new voice from the doorway. Everyone turned to see Jinny Choi walking into the lab. She was a test pilot, one of the few humans who had flown in alien ships during diplomatic visits. She was young, maybe 30 years old, with bright eyes and a quick smile. "What do you mean?" Hyun-woo asked. Jinny picked up a piece of the broken machine. "When I flew in their ship, something felt strange. The aliens were always surprised by how I could feel the ship moving before their instruments showed anything. They kept asking me how I knew which direction we were going." So, Young frowned. "That doesn't make sense. How could you feel something their machines couldn't detect?" "I don't know," Jinny said. "But maybe that's important. Maybe humans can do something they can't." Min-ho laughed bitterly. "Right. We're so special that we can do things that aliens with million-year-old civilizations can't do. That's crazy talk." But Hyun-woo was thinking. He remembered reading old reports about human test pilots in alien ships. Many of them reported strange feelings, like they could sense things the aliens missed. The aliens had dismissed these reports as human imagination. "Jinny," Hyun-woo said slowly, "when you felt the ship moving, what did it feel like?" Jinny closed her eyes, trying to remember. Like the space around me was bending. Not the ship, but the emptiness between stars. It felt alive somehow." So-young's eyes went wide. "Wait, what if space isn't empty? What if there's something there that only humans can feel?" "That's impossible," Min-ho said. "The aliens have studied space for millions of years." "But they're not human," Hyun-woo said, getting excited. "Their brains work differently. Their consciousness is different. What if there's something about human minds that lets us interact with space in a way they can't?" The room went quiet. Outside, they could hear the sound of traffic in the overcrowded city. Millions of people living in a world that couldn't support them much longer. "It's worth trying," So-young said finally. "We have nothing left to lose." For the next 3 weeks, they worked day and night. Instead of trying to copy alien machines, they built something completely new. They created a chamber where a human pilot could sit and try to reach out with their mind to touch the fabric of space itself. The aliens had laughed at human ideas about meditation and consciousness. They said such things were primitive thinking. But humans had always believed that mind and matter were connected in ways science couldn't measure. Jinny volunteered to be the first test pilot. The chamber was small and simple, Nothing like the complex alien ships. It had basic life support and a chair. No engines, no fuel. Nothing that looked like it could move faster than light. "Are you ready?" Hyun-woo asked. Jin-ae nodded. She sat in the chamber and closed her eyes. "I'm trying to feel the space around me, like when I was in the alien ship. At first, nothing happened. The monitors showed normal readings. Jin-ae sat quietly, breathing slowly, reaching out with her mind. Then, something changed. The monitors began showing impossible readings. Space around the chamber started to ripple like water. Jin-ae opened her eyes and gasped. "I can feel it," she whispered. "The space is... It's like it's waiting for me to ask it to move." "Ask it what?" So Young said, her voice shaking. "Ask it to take me somewhere else." Jin-ae closed her eyes again and concentrated. She thought about the nearest star, just 4 light years away. She imagined the space between Earth and that star, and she asked it politely to help her cross that distance. The chamber vanished. Hyun-woo, So-young, and Min-ho stared at the empty spot where it had been. Their instruments went crazy, showing readings that made no sense. Space itself seemed to be twisted into impossible shapes. "Where did she go?" Min-ho whispered. Before anyone could answer, the chamber reappeared in exactly the same spot. Jin-ae was still sitting inside, but her face was pale with shock. "I was there," she said, her voice barely audible. "I was at the other star. I could see their planets. Then I thought about home, and I came back." The 3 scientists looked at each other in amazement. They had just achieved faster-than-light travel using nothing but human consciousness and a simple metal chamber. "How long were you gone?" Hyun-woo asked. Jin-ae checked her watch. "About 10 seconds. "Impossible," So-young breathed. "It takes light 4 years to travel that distance." But the proof was right in front of them. Somehow, Jin-ae had asked space itself to move her instantly across impossible distances. She had done something the mighty Galactic Council said was beyond human understanding. As news of their success spread through the hidden human research network, Hyun-woo realized their lives had just changed forever. Humans were no longer trapped on a dying world. But more importantly, they had discovered something that would shake the foundations of galactic civilization. The aliens had been wrong about humans. Very wrong. And soon the entire galaxy would know it. The message arrived at the Galactic Council 3 days after Jin-ae's first test flight. It came from their deep space monitoring stations, and it made no sense at all. "Impossible readings detected in Sol system," the report said. "Unknown vessel. Appeared simultaneously at coordinates spanning 12 different star systems. Object vanished before identification possible." Council leader Thex-9 read the message with growing concern. Thex-9 was not truly alive in the way humans understood life. It was a crystalline being made of living silicon, ancient, beyond human comprehension. It had ruled the galaxy for over 50,000 years. "Call emergency session," Thex-9 commanded in its voice like grinding stones. "Summon all council members, immediately." Within hours, the 7 most powerful beings in the galaxy gathered in the great chamber of Nexus Prime. Each represented a different type of life that had evolved to rule the stars. Veltar floated as pure energy, its thoughts burning, like small suns. Morden spoke with the voice of 1 billion connected minds. Grix Prime stood tall in its mechanical body, part machine and part living metal. Each council member had lived for thousands of years and had never seen anything they could not explain. "Show us the data," Veltar commanded, its energy form pulsing with concern. The chamber filled with images from space. Monitoring stations throughout the galaxy had detected the same impossible event. A single object had appeared in 12 different places at the exact same time, then vanished completely. "This violates all known laws of physics," Mordun said, with its countless voices. "Nothing can exist in multiple locations simultaneously. Unless, Grix Prime said slowly, someone has discovered technology beyond our understanding. The council members looked at each other with growing fear. For 50,000 years, they had controlled the galaxy by controlling technology. They decided which species could have faster-than-light travel, which could have advanced weapons, which could even leave their home planets. They had convinced themselves that they knew everything there was to know about the universe. They had divided all possible knowledge between them and declared themselves the final authorities on what was possible. The readings came from the Sol system, Thex-9 said, from the human homeworld. A cold silence filled the chamber. Humans were supposed to be harmless. They were young, emotional, chaotic creatures who barely understood their own technology. The council had studied them for 40 years and concluded they posed no threat. "Bring their representatives here immediately," Veltar ordered. "We must know what they have discovered." 2 days later, Wu Jin Han stood in the council chamber feeling very small. He was Earth's chief scientist and one of only 3 humans allowed to visit council space. The chamber was enormous, designed to make visitors feel powerless. Beside him stood Kangmin Yoon, Earth's ambassador to the council. Kangmin had spent 10 years trying to convince the council to share their technology with humanity. He had always been polite, patient, and respectful. But today, his face was hard with anger. "Explain these readings," Thex-9 commanded, its crystalline form towering above them. Wu Jin looked at the data they showed him. His heart raced as he realized what the council had detected. Somehow, they had monitored Jin'e's test flight across multiple star systems. "I don't know what you're talking about," Wu Jin lied smoothly. "Humans don't have technology capable of faster-than-light travel." "Do not lie to us," Mordoon's billion voices said as one. "Our instruments are perfect. Something from your world achieved impossible movement through space." Kangmin stepped forward. "You've been watching us for 40 years, he said quietly. "You know everything about our technology. If we had faster-than-light travel, wouldn't you have seen us building it?" This was true, and it confused the council members. They had monitoring stations around Earth's solar system. They watched every human spacecraft launch, every experiment, every scientific breakthrough. They had seen nothing that could explain the impossible readings. "Perhaps," Veltar said, its energy form flickering with thought. "You have been hiding your research from us." "Why would we hide anything?" Wu Jin asked. "You won't share your technology with us anyway. We've been begging for 40 years just for the right to visit other worlds." Thex-9 leaned forward, its crystal body reflecting the light in sharp patterns. "Show us your research, all of it. We will inspect every laboratory on your world." "No," Kangmin said simply. The word hung in the air like thunder. No one had ever said no to the Galactic Council, not in 50,000 years. "You refuse our inspection?" Grix Prime asked, its mechanical voice filled with surprise. "We refuse," Kangmin repeated. "You have no right to demand access to our world. You are not our rulers." "We are the Galactic Council," Mordoon said with growing anger. "We maintain order throughout the galaxy. All species must submit to our authority." "Says who?" Wu Jin asked. "Did someone vote for you? Did anyone ask the billions of species in the galaxy if they wanted you in charge?" This question had never been asked before. The council had simply taken power because they were the strongest and oldest. They had never considered that anyone might question their right to rule. "We maintain peace," Veltar said, but its energy form was flickering with uncertainty. "Without our guidance, the galaxy would fall into chaos." "You maintain control," Kangmin corrected. "You keep every species weak and dependent so they can never challenge you." Hidden in a corner of the chamber, Hyejin Seo listened to every word. She was a human who worked as a translator for the council, one of the few humans they trusted, with access to their facilities. But her true loyalty was to Earth. Hyejin quietly activated a recording device hidden in her clothing. This conversation needed to be heard by every human in the galaxy. Tell us about your faster-than-light technology, Thex-9 demanded. What makes you think we have any? Wu Jin asked innocently. Because our instruments detected impossible movement from your system, Grix Prime said. Something traveled instantly between star systems. Nothing in our knowledge can do this. Maybe your knowledge isn't complete, Kang Min suggested. The council members reacted as if they had been slapped. Their knowledge was perfect. Their understanding of the universe was absolute. The idea that they might have missed something was impossible to accept. You will tell us what you have discovered, Veltar commanded, its energy form burning brighter with anger. Or what? Wu Jin asked. You'll destroy us? You'll invade our world? Go ahead. Show the galaxy what your peace really looks like. For the first time in 50,000 years, the Galactic Council felt uncertain. These humans were not behaving as expected. They were not afraid, not apologetic, not eager to please their betters. You are making a mistake, Morden warned. We have the power to destroy your entire species. Yes, Kang Min agreed. You do. But if you destroy us, you'll never learn our secrets. And if our secrets are powerful enough to worry the mighty Galactic Council, maybe other species would like to know about them too. Thex-9's crystal form began to glow with cold light. Are you threatening us? No, Wu Jin said calmly. We're just pointing out that destroying us won't solve your problem. If humans have discovered something new, killing us won't make that knowledge disappear. This was true, and it terrified the Council. If humans had truly discovered new technology, other species might discover it too. The foundation of Council power rested on their monopoly of advanced knowledge. Leave us, Thex-9 commanded. Return to your world. We will decide what to do with you. As Wu Jin and Kang Min were escorted from the chamber, He-Jin slipped away to transmit her recording. Soon, every human settlement in Council space would know exactly what their supposed protectors really thought of them. The Council members remained in the chamber for hours after the humans left, arguing in voices like thunder and starfire. For the first time in their long rule, they faced a problem they could not solve with overwhelming force. Humans had discovered something impossible, and worse, they were not afraid to use it. The Council war fleet launched 3 days after the humans left Nexus Prime. It was the largest military force assembled in 1,000 years. 500 massive warships, each one capable of destroying entire planets, moved toward Earth's solar system. Admiral Grix Prime commanded the fleet from the flagship. Its mechanical body was built for war, with armor that could survive supernovas and weapons that could crack moons in half. It had never lost a battle in its 10,000-year military career. Estimated arrival at Sol System in 6 days, reported its lieutenant. All ships report ready for combat. Grix Prime studied the tactical displays. Earth had no military fleet worth mentioning. A few dozen small ships designed for exploration and trade. The humans had always been peaceful, even when other species attacked them. This would be easy. But something nagged at Grix Prime's artificial mind. The humans in the council chamber had not acted like a defeated species. They had been calm, confident, even defiant. It made no sense. Sir, the communications officer called out. We're receiving a transmission from Earth. Put it through, Grix Prime ordered. The image of Tae-Young Lim appeared on the main screen. He was a young human, maybe 40 years old, wearing a simple blue uniform. He sat in what looked like a small ship's bridge. Greetings, Council Fleet, Tae-Young said politely. I am Commander Lim of the Human Defense Force. We know you're coming to destroy us. Grix Prime laughed, a sound like grinding metal. Surrender now and your deaths will be quick. Actually, Tae-Young said with a small smile, we have a different idea. We'd like to show you something first. Before Grix Prime could respond, something impossible happened. The human ship appeared directly in front of the Council flagship, not approaching from a distance, not dropping out of faster-than-light travel. It simply materialized from nothing, less than 1,000 meters away. Every alarm on the flagship screamed at once. It was impossible for any ship to get that close without being detected. The Council's sensors were perfect, their defenses impenetrable. How? Did you get there? Grix Prime demanded. The same way we'll leave, Tae-young said. The human ship vanished. One moment it was there, the next it was gone completely. No energy signature, no trace, nothing. Then it appeared on the other side of the fleet. Then behind them, then above them. The single human ship seemed to be everywhere at once, moving instantly between impossible positions. All ships, open fire, Grix Prime commanded. The Council fleet unleashed enough firepower to vaporize a small moon. Energy beams and missiles filled space where the human ship had been. But they hit nothing. The ship was already somewhere else. You're very slow. Tae-young's voice came over the communications channel. We expected better from the mighty Council fleet. More human ships began appearing throughout the battle zone. Dozens of them, all moving with the same impossible speed. They didn't fight back, didn't fire weapons. They just appeared and disappeared like ghosts, always staying one step ahead of the Council's attacks. This is impossible, Grix Prime muttered. Nothing can move that fast. Sir, the sensor officer reported, his voice shaking. I'm detecting human ships in 17 different star systems. They're everywhere. On Earth, Subin Quan coordinated the greatest evacuation in human history. Using the new quantum consciousness drives, human ships could appear anywhere instantly. They didn't need to follow normal space routes or worry about fuel. Transport Ship 7, you're clear for departure. Subin spoke into her headset. Take your passengers to the Kepler system. Around her, the evacuation center buzzed with activity. Millions of humans were leaving Earth, spreading throughout the galaxy faster than anyone had thought possible. Families grabbed their belongings and stepped into transport chambers, disappearing instantly to new worlds light years away. The Council had always controlled human movement by controlling faster-than-light travel, but now humans could go anywhere they wanted, whenever they wanted. The invisible prison that had kept them trapped was broken forever. Ma'am, one of her assistants called out. We're getting reports from the outer colonies. Council ships are trying to blockade human settlements. Subin smiled grimly. Tell them good luck with that. How do you blockade a ship that can appear anywhere? In the Vega system, Ji-hoon Park made first contact with the Cathari. They were a peaceful species that looked like tall, thin birds with blue feathers. The Council had allowed them limited space travel, but kept them confined to 3 star systems. You are the humans we have heard about, said Cathari Elder Silmoth. The Council says you are dangerous criminals. The Council says many things, Ji-hoon replied. Most of them are lies designed to keep everyone afraid. He showed the Cathari delegation recordings of Earth, of human cities and art and music. He showed them images of the galaxy beyond Council space, vast regions filled with stars and worlds that the Council claimed didn't exist. There are thousands of species out there, Ji-hoon explained. The Council keeps them all separated so they can't communicate or trade with each other. They make everyone believe they're alone and helpless. Elder Silmoth's feathers ruffled with excitement. You mean there are others like us? Others who want to fly freely among the stars? Millions of them, Ji-hoon confirmed, and now we can visit them all. Within hours, the first Cathari volunteers joined human crews on quantum consciousness ships. They couldn't operate the drives themselves yet, but they could travel as passengers to worlds they had only dreamed of seeing. Similar scenes played out across the galaxy. The Zimlot, an artistic species that painted with living light, learned that humans appreciated beauty as much as they did. The Murdak, who communicated through complex mathematical songs, discovered that human music followed patterns similar to their own. Species that had been isolated for millennia suddenly found themselves part of a growing network of cooperation and friendship. And at the center of it all were the humans, offering free transportation to anyone who wanted to explore the galaxy. Admiral Grix Prime watched his perfect battle plan fall apart in real time. The human ships continued their impossible dance through space, appearing and vanishing at will. His fleet couldn't hit them, couldn't predict their movements, couldn't even track where they had gone. "Sir," his communications officer reported, "we're receiving surrender demands from 17 different human commanders." "Surrender demands?" Grix Prime asked in disbelief. "They're asking us to lay down our weapons and submit to escort back to Council space. They say resistance is futile." Grix Prime's metal fists clenched. A few dozen primitive human ships were demanding the surrender of the most powerful military force in the galaxy. It was humiliating beyond measure. "Never," he declared. "We are the Council fleet. We do not surrender to anyone." "Then perhaps," came a new voice over the communications channel, "you'd like to see what else we can do." The voice belonged to Dong Hyun-oh, commander of the Human Exploration Fleet. His ship appeared directly above the Council flagship, so close that Grix Prime could see individual humans through the windows. "We've been exploring beyond Council space," Dong Hyun said conversationally. "Do you know what we found out there?" More human ships materialized around the Council fleet. But these ships were different. They carried passengers from dozens of different species, all of them watching the Council fleet with curious eyes. "We found the real galaxy," Dong Hyun continued. "The one you've been hiding from everyone. Thousands of civilizations that you've kept in the dark for millennia. They're very interested to meet you." Grix Prime realized with growing horror that the humans hadn't just developed new technology. They had shattered the Council's carefully maintained isolation. They had connected species that were never supposed to meet. The galaxy would never be the same again. And somewhere in the vast network of human ships, Yun Su Nam continued her secret mission deep in Council territory, gathering intelligence and preparing for the next phase of humanity's impossible revolution. Young Sik Ko stood on the bridge of the human ship New Dawn, watching thousands of alien vessels gather in the Andromeda sector. Ships from dozens of species floated together in space, their crews working side by side for the first time in their histories. 3 months had passed since the Council fleet's failed attack on Earth. 3 months of humans spreading throughout the galaxy, carrying messages of freedom to every world they could find. Now the revolution had begun in earnest. "Status report," Young Sik asked his communications officer. 43 star systems have declared independence from Council rule," came the reply. "The Cathari have liberated their entire home sector. The Zimlot are leading uprisings on 12 worlds. And the Merdak mathematical singers are broadcasting revolution songs across the galaxy." Young Sik smiled. He had never planned to become a leader of galactic revolution. 6 months ago, he had been a simple engineer working in Seoul. But the new quantum consciousness drives had changed everything about what was possible. "Any word from Mi Young's diplomatic mission?" he asked. "She reports success on the Rim worlds. 2 more Council species have agreed to join us." This was the most surprising development of all. Some of the younger Council species, ones that had joined the galactic government only a few thousand years ago, were beginning to question their elders' methods. On the world of Telos 7, Mi Young Jang sat across from a group of young Veltar energy beings. Unlike their ancient elders, these Veltar had grown up hearing whispers about the suppressed civilizations beyond Council space. "Show us again," said one of the young Veltar, its energy form flickering with curiosity. "Show us how human consciousness works." Mi-young closed her eyes and reached out with her mind, feeling for the quantum threads that connected all space and time. The chamber around them began to glow softly as space itself responded to her thoughts. "It's not about technology," she explained. "It's about understanding that consciousness and reality are connected. Your elders taught you that mind and matter are separate things, but they're wrong." The young Veltar watched in amazement as Mi-young gently bent space around her fingers, creating impossible patterns of light and shadow. What the council called magic, or primitive thinking, was actually a fundamental truth about the universe. "We could learn this?" another young Veltar asked. "Anyone can learn it," Mi-young assured them. "Humans aren't special. We just never learned to believe it was impossible." One of the young Veltar, who called itself Brightwing, suddenly flared with excitement. "That's why the elders are so afraid. If consciousness can reshape reality, then their control over technology means nothing." Mi-young nodded. "Power comes from imagination and will, not from hoarding ancient machines." Across the galaxy, Bo-Ram Shin was teaching similar lessons to a group of young crystalline beings on the world of Nexus Minor. These junior council members had lived their entire lives believing that their crystal elders knew everything there was to know about the universe. "Try again," Bo-Ram encouraged them. "Don't think about what you've been told is impossible. Think about what you want to achieve." One of the young crystallines, Shard Song, focused its thoughts on a piece of empty space. Slowly, tentatively, the space began to ripple like water. The other crystallines gasped in amazement. "I felt it," Shard Song whispered. "The space listened to me." "Because space is alive," Bo-Ram explained. "It's conscious in its own way. The council taught you to command reality through machines, but reality prefers to be asked nicely." News of these successes spread through quantum consciousness networks faster than any traditional communication. Species that had never heard of humans suddenly found themselves receiving invitations to join the growing rebellion. On the industrial world of Pharos Prime, Sung-Ho Bayek led a team of liberated slaves in capturing a massive council research station. The station contained thousands of years of suppressed scientific discoveries, technologies that could have improved life for billions, but were kept secret to maintain council power. "What's in there?" asked Koltem, a member of the insectoid hive workers who had spent their entire species' history building machines for council overlords. "Everything they stole from your people," Sung-Ho replied as they broke through the station's defenses. "And from hundreds of other species." Inside the research station, they found horror beyond imagination. Entire civilizations had developed amazing technologies, only to have them confiscated by the council. Art, music, scientific discoveries, medical cures, agricultural techniques, all of it locked away to prevent any species from becoming too powerful. "They kept our people sick," Koltem said, staring at medical files. "We developed a cure for the wasting disease, but they took it away. Millions died." "Not anymore," Sung-Ho promised. "All of this knowledge belongs to the galaxy now." They began broadcasting everything they found. The cure for the hive worker wasting disease, agricultural techniques that could feed billions, art forms that brought joy to countless species, technologies that could clean polluted worlds and extend life for centuries. For the first time in millennia, the suppressed peoples of the galaxy could see what their potential truly was. Meanwhile, Yejin Moon's reconnaissance teams brought back reports that filled the human command ships with both hope and rage. The galaxy was far larger than anyone had imagined. Beyond council space lay thousands of star systems inhabited by species that had been kept in primitive conditions for millions of years. Entire civilizations living like their ancestors did before they discovered fire, Yejin reported to Young Sik. "The council has been actively suppressing their development, keeping them helpless." "How many?" Young Sik asked. "Billions of species, trillions of individual beings, all of them kept ignorant of their own potential. The scope of the council's crimes was staggering. They hadn't just hoarded technology, they had actively prevented the natural development of countless civilizations. Species that should have been exploring the stars were still living in caves, not because they lacked intelligence, but because the council destroyed any sign of technological progress. "We have to free them all," Young Sik declared. On the fortress, world of Nexus Prime, The council elders watched their empire crumble in real time. Rebellions sprouted faster than they could be suppressed. Their own younger members were defecting in growing numbers. And worst of all, the suppressed civilizations were beginning to discover their true heritage. 70% of our territory is in open revolt, reported Grix Prime, its mechanical body showing signs of battle damage from failed attempts to retake rebel worlds. How is this possible? Thex 9 demanded. We had perfect control for 50,000 years. The humans changed everything, Morden replied with its billion voices filled with despair. They showed everyone that our authority was built on lies. Veltar Prime, the eldest of the energy beings, flickered with cold anger. Then we must destroy them all. Every human, every rebel, every species that has dared to defy us. With what? Grix Prime asked. Half our fleets have joined the rebellion. The other half can't catch ships that move through quantum consciousness. In the depths of space, hidden from Council sensors, the human fleet prepared for the final assault. Young Six stood before a gathering of representatives from hundreds of species, all of them united in their determination to end Council rule forever. Tomorrow we attack Nexus Prime, he announced. Tomorrow we free the galaxy. A cheer went up from thousands of different voices, speaking in languages that had never been heard together before. The impossible alliance that humans had forged was ready to face its greatest test. The Council's 50,000-year reign was about to end, and everyone in the galaxy could feel the change coming like thunder in the distance. The final battle for Nexus Prime began at dawn. Gunwoo Choi watched from the command deck of his ship as thousands of vessels materialized around the Council's fortress world. Human ships appeared alongside Thari cruisers, Zimlot art ships. That painted space with living light, and even young Council species who had turned against their elders. All ships report ready, his communications officer announced. The combined fleet is in position. Gunwoo had been a schoolteacher just 1 year ago. Now he commanded the largest military force in galactic history. But this was not like the old wars the Council had fought. This was not about conquest or destruction. This was about liberation. Remember, he broadcast to the entire fleet, our goal is to end the Council's power, not to destroy everything they built. Nexus Prime has billions of innocent beings who just want to live in peace. Below them, the fortress world of Nexus Prime gleamed like a jewel among the stars. It was the most heavily defended planet in the galaxy, surrounded by energy shields that could stop supernovas and weapon platforms that could crack moons. For 50,000 years, no enemy had ever threatened this world. But the Council had never faced enemies who could appear anywhere instantly, moving through quantum consciousness instead of normal space. The first wave of human ships simply materialized inside the defensive perimeter. The massive shields and weapons were designed to stop attacks from outside, not to deal with ships that appeared from nothing in the middle of protected space. Impossible, Admiral Grix Prime muttered from the Council's war room deep beneath the planet's surface. How can they be inside our defenses? On the surface, Council defense forces scrambled to respond to attacks that came from every direction at once. Human Marines led by Nari Yang appeared in key installations, but they didn't come to destroy. They came with medical supplies and food for the civilian populations who had been trapped under Council rule. People of Nexus Prime, Nari broadcast. On all communication channels, we are not here to conquer you. We are here to free you from rulers who have lied to you for millennia. The response surprised everyone. Instead of fighting, many of the planet's inhabitants simply stopped what they were doing and stared. They had heard rumors of the revolution spreading across the galaxy, but the Council had told them it was all lies and propaganda. Now, seeing human and alien ships working together, seeing former enemies helping each other, many began to understand that everything they had been told was wrong. In the depths of the planet, Chan Young Lim led a team of specialists toward the Council's greatest secret. Deep beneath Nexus Prime lay the Central Archive, a massive database containing the true history of the galaxy that the Council had hidden for 50,000 years. "This way," said Brightwing, the young Veltar energy being who had joined the revolution. "I know the path to the archive chambers." As they moved through abandoned corridors, Chan Young marveled at what they found. The lower levels of Nexus Prime were filled with treasures from thousands of civilizations. Art, music, literature, scientific discoveries, all of it stolen and hidden away. They didn't just suppress technology, Chan Young realized. They stole entire cultures. When they reached the Central Archive, what they found inside shocked even the most experienced rebels. The database contained detailed records of every species in the galaxy, including billions that the Council had deliberately kept primitive. "Look at this," Brightwing said, its energy form pulsing with horror. "The Meltari civilization. They developed spaceflight 12,000 years ago, but the Council destroyed their cities and made them forget their own history." Record after record showed the same pattern. Any species that showed signs of advancement was either destroyed or forced back into primitive conditions. The Council had convinced them that they were protecting the galaxy from chaos, but in reality, they were preventing the natural growth of civilization itself. Meanwhile, Jae-Sung Kim worked frantically in his mobile laboratory, trying to help. Newly liberated species adapt to technologies they should have developed centuries ago. Beings who had been kept at Stone Age levels suddenly had access to space travel, medicine, and communication systems they couldn't understand. "Take it slowly," he advised a group of confused Murtal refugees. "Your people are brilliant. You'll learn these things quickly once you have the chance." But some species struggled with the sudden change. The Kolthani had been kept as primitive hunters for so long that many of them became sick from stress when exposed to advanced technology. Jae-Sung developed special adaptation programs to help them adjust gradually to their new reality. "The Council didn't just steal their technology," he reported to Young Sik. "They damaged their ability to grow and change. Some species will need years to recover from what was done to them." In the Council's inner chamber, the ancient rulers faced their final defeat. Thex 9's crystal form was cracked and dim. Veltar Prime flickered weakly, its energy almost exhausted. Mordun's billion voices had fallen silent, overwhelmed by the scope of their failure. 50,000 years, Thex 9 said quietly. 50,000 years of perfect order, destroyed by primitive humans in less than 1 year. "They were never primitive," said a new voice from the chamber entrance. The Council members turned to see In-Young SEO entering with a team of liberation forces. She had been chosen to represent the new Galactic Assembly, the democratic organization that would replace the Council's rule. "You told yourselves they were primitive because it made it easier to justify keeping them enslaved," In-Young continued. "But the truth is, you were afraid. Afraid that if everyone could reach their full potential, you wouldn't be special anymore." Veltar Prime tried to argue. "Without our guidance, the galaxy will fall into chaos. Billions will die in wars and conflicts." "Under your guidance, billions died anyway," In-Young replied. "The difference is that now they'll die as free beings, not as slaves." The formal surrender ceremony took place 3 days later. Representatives from over 10,000 species gathered on Nexus Prime to witness the end of the Council's rule. Many of these species were meeting each other for the first time, finally able to communicate freely after millennia of enforced isolation. Kyung-Ho An, now an old man, stood among the crowd watching his granddaughter play with alien children. On the steps of the former Council building, he remembered the dark days on Earth when humanity faced extinction, trapped on a dying world with no hope of escape. "Grandfather," his granddaughter asked, tugging on his sleeve, "is it true that we used to be prisoners?" Kyung-Ho smiled and picked her up. Around them, beings from hundreds of different worlds worked together to plan their new future. Artists shared techniques that had been hidden for millennia. Scientists collaborated on projects that would have been impossible under council rule. Musicians created symphonies using instruments from a dozen different species. "Yes, little one," he said softly. "We were all prisoners, but not anymore." The new Galactic Assembly established their first law that day. No species would ever again be denied the right to reach their full potential. No technology would be hoarded by a privileged few. No culture would be suppressed or destroyed. The HFY. Former council species, stripped of their artificial advantages, had to learn to work as equals with everyone else. Some adapted well, especially the younger ones who had joined the revolution. Others struggled with the loss of their special status. But the galaxy was healing. Ships traveled freely between stars that had been isolated for millennia. Trade networks, developed overnight as species discovered they had been neighbors all along. Children grew up learning about the vast diversity of life that surrounded them, instead of being taught to fear the unknown. And at the center of it all, human quantum consciousness ships continued their work of connection and exploration. They had broken the galaxy's chains not through violence or conquest, but by showing everyone what was possible when consciousness was free to explore its full potential. The age of artificial limitations was over. The age of unlimited possibility had begun. In the end, humanity's greatest gift to the galaxy was not their technology, but their refusal to accept that anything was truly impossible. They had looked at the vast cosmos and asked not why, but why not? And in asking that question, they had set everyone free.